Danny Brough rejuvenates his career by going to Wakefield. There was nothing wrong with his career at Huddersfield, but this is his final payday.
Yeah.
You're the chairman of Scotland Rugby League. You've watched the way your team have played the first 2 weeks in the European Championship. It doesn't now matter whether they win in France or not, because next year's important. They're back in a European qualifier to try and get to the World Cup. Do you build a bridge with him and say, look, what we need is somebody like you who can get us around the field, who can have an influence over these domestic players other than taking them into the nearest nightclub? No, I'm joking. Would you bring him back if you were Keith Hogg and the chairman of Scotland?
No, I don't think so. But for the reason, I probably say this because Broughy wouldn't come back. I think he knows that he's
bridge is
burned his bridges, yeah. And I just think he's a stubborn son, so that's knowing him personally. If I was in a position of not knowing him, but I don't suppose they do know him. They obviously dealt with him from the fallout from
Probably
Australia.
did the right thing.
Yeah, listen to it. Yeah, I agree with that too. I think Danny will know that as well. Yeah, I just think that they've got to look
the Scotland coach is now going to be his club coach. That Chris Chester might go to the.
But I think that's a difficult job anyway. I think that Chris will find out how difficult it is now, or has.
No.
Junkie are the same.
Week one, Chris wondered what he'd let himself in for, particularly dealing with the likes of players not being released.
Yeah.
By week two, he's quite enjoying it because it's an environment that is completely alien to what he does on a week-to-week basis.
It's good for development.
Yeah, and that's why you take on a job like that, to bring the best out of a kid from Edinburgh Eagles who you otherwise wouldn't have ever met.
But you know what, Phil? You asked a question there about Broughy. How would Broughy get the respect of the players back in that dressing room after he let them down?
Just by the way he played. All he could do would be the other way.
Phil, that's got nothing to do with the way they plays. The way that he let Scotland down, and the other two players as well. Bearing in mind, literally, there was just one game away and they knew they could have qualified for the quarterfinals. And bearing in mind, if Broughy had played the week after, they would have won because he would have got the drop goal which would have got them into the quarterfinals. There's no way made Broughy should ever play for Scotland again. The other two players, because of the way they let Scotland down badly, not just themselves, but also too all the players who were on that trip.
It just goes back to this thought that the best players should be playing international rugby league, and that's what's going to project our sport forward. And for Scotland, he is one of their best players. But you're right, there has to be an ethical code that goes around it as well.
The best players have got to behave in the best manner.
Yeah.
And how many times have we heard, and
I just wondered
case in point at times, and other players that I know that have not been picked internationally because the reputation precedes them, and you've got to toe the line. It's a simple.
So do you know what, Phil? You put that question right regarding Danny Brough, right?
I just thought I'd throw it in.
And since the World Cup, and we're all still trying to find out, aren't we? We're all still trying to find out why Wayne Bennett doesn't pick Mark Percival. And you're saying, well, it might be his attitude.
No, it was his attitude. It just might be that he doesn't bring someone that Wayne wants.
Hold on, you mentioned last year when they were playing someone, it might have been his attitude in training or around the hotel and what have you. And you're saying Scotland maybe giving Danny Brough a second chance after what he did.
I think the difference is the pool of talent you've got to choose from and the job that one
Surely the pool of talent doesn't make any difference after he let Scotland down massively.
Having seen, the one thing that strikes you when you watch these nations play at the moment is the incredible work that is done by volunteers and staff.
Yeah.
And some of the kids that have barely played rugby league are so passionate as Tommy Makinson was when he talked about he's doing everything for the shirt because the shirt means so. The kids who play for Easter House Panthers,
but
it means as much to them. But they're not used to playing in this environment.
No, but that's what Broughy should have been doing at the World Cup last year. Because Cooke will say, and I'll tell you, when we have a few beers and all this stuff, the time and place, everything.
And
not exactly what he did. And the other two players,
the exact opposite. That when he goes into camp with Ireland, he is the guy.
But there's a time and place to do things.
No, I get that.
And there was still a game to go. And if Broughy would have played in that last game, they would have won because he would have got the field goal.
I just think, seeing it from Chris Chester's point of view, he needs a bit more quality to work with, and he's going to have a guy playing for him week in, week out. He could take with him into that international arena and be his general on the field. And whether you would give him a second chance to get to the World Cup.
The thing about it is, and I'll go to another article that I wrote on Zach Hardacre. Broughy's misdemeanours by no way as bad as what Zach's was, but sooner or later the penny's got to drop, and it's generally too late for players. Right. It's as simple as that. It's generally too late, and the the point of this is that if you continually get away with stuff that you do off the field and in your personal life with no real consequence and no dire consequence, then how do you ever learn a lesson?
Exactly.
So taking him back taking him back says to me, and would say to me as an individual, and I went through lots of different times in my career, it's okay to do what you're doing because you're still playing rugby league and you're still being handsomely paid and you're still playing internationally, and there comes a time when somebody goes, that's enough, son. No more, and your rugby league ability shouldn't matter. In my opinion, it shouldn't matter, and eventually, and I mean this with the utmost respect to Zach and to Danny Brough, eventually you become washed up and somebody else takes your place. It's as simple as that, and you will look back and think, maybe I shouldn't have done some of the things I did. It's as simple as that.
Close your ears, Gary and Phil, but I think a Hull fan has edited this page on Wikipedia because it goes like this. To the immense noise from the Hull fans, Hull-born Paul Cooke broke through the Leeds defence and grounded the ball underneath the post to allow for a simple conversion. The youngster Danny Brough, it's a long time ago,
It was.
capped off an outstanding performance by converting the try under pressure to make the score 25-24 to Hull.
You could have kicked that goal shot, right? You could have.
It's the ones he kicked from the touch.
Kick 3 more.
Hey, listen, we all
Hull held on for arguably the best Challenge Cup final ever, overturning the old odds.
We all know Brough is still a quality rugby league player.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it, and he will.
And that was one of the greatest Challenge Cup finals.
You know, he will bring what Wakefield have been missing. But as far
No, I
as
was
going back
thinking
into
more-
Scotland, I'm afraid to say no. But as far as rugby league play goes, and certainly what he'll bring to Wakefield, he'll bring that quality, and he'll bring. I won't say the massive X factor, but he'll bring the X factor. What has been missing? What's been missing from maybe getting to the top four.
Do you think he is the key for Wakefield? That is the signing. I mean, it's top 5 this year, so they need to replicate what they've done the last 2 years. They'll be in the playoffs.
The thing with Broughy, and if you look back at all of his career, when the chips are down, he comes out swinging. So when he left Hull FC and he was shown the door with myself and Richard Horn as number 1 halfbacks, and I say that about Albert Kelly and Jake Connor, you know, we spoke about that earlier. Something's got to give in that salary cap eventually. One of them will go, and it won't be Connor. I can assure you of that. He's the man. But with Broughy, when the chips are down, he comes out swinging. So when he was shown the door at Hull, he came out swinging and became a great player again. Reinvented himself, if you like. When the chips was down, I think he went to did he go to York before Castleford, or Castleford after York, and then avoided relegation, but ended up at Wakefield, then ends up with a big move to Huddersfield in 2010. And the reason I remember that is because I went to Wakefield at the time to release him to go. And then he's got really comfortable for 8 years at Huddersfield, and he's probably spoken to Chris Chester and he said, this is your biggest one now. This is your last chance, as far as, not last chance as far as playing rugby league goes, but your big money move, your twilight of your career. You can be really good for us,
And being the main man.
or you can behave like a prat and I'll flick you because I won't have that in my group of players. Knowing Broughy, he'll come out swinging. He'll come out swinging and he'll prove a point, because that's the type of bloke he is as well. And he's a power man, and I wouldn't say anything I'm saying now that I wouldn't say to him. He can be as good as he wants to be, and he can be as bad as he wants to be. But when he's good, he's good.
Is there a partnership there with Jacob Miller?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It'd be difficult because Broughy plays left, Miller plays left. Something's got to give there, hasn't it? I know Jacob played right at Hull, so there's a little bit of a contrast, if you like, and something's got to give with regards one of them. But he can be as good as he wants to be, Broughy, at Wakefield, because they've got some quality around him as well in the
He'll get some
forward.
protection.
Because that's what it says as well, because as we all know, he's a maverick player. What he is, but at times at Huddersfield, you know, he got himself sin binged and he got himself sent off. You know, that could be a bit of a problem for Cookie.
Well, he's not the saviour.
You know, the big games of this
But
sort.
I don't think he's a saviour, is he?
He doesn't.
He doesn't, because I think they've got enough
Yeah, they've got enough quality. I
They've got
agree with that.
enough
Yeah, there's
quality.
good quality around there.
And you're going to want to get the ball out wide because you've got 2 of the best finishers in the game.
I just think he needs to go in there and play footy.
Yeah.
And if he goes in there and plays footy and proves his point and has fun with it,
Kicks
Well,
kicks
it's
them to
still-
the
It'd be
kicks them to
valuable.
the right.
Oh, it'd be valuable. It'd be
Yeah,
valuable.
the
Richard's getting excited
I'm
now.
very excited.
He's
yeah.
gone.
Well, yeah, especially because I've voted said we're going to finish.
Or it could go the other way. Derailing the season, and before you know it, before Easter, everybody's out of work.
We've all been bored, haven't we? You know, last season when we finished in the top 5, we can't make the top. It's boring.
I personally think it'd be great for Wakefield.
Yeah.
I think it'd be wonderful for Wakefield, and I think
And that's
it's
why
a real signal of the intent of Michael Carter
Absolutely.
and Chris Chester, and I think
New
it's a
chief
I think it's a
executive of
wonderful
Wakefield,
club.
we should say.
I think it's a wonderful club, and I spent my last years as a professional.
Michael's
full-time
changed
there.
his job today. Now the chief executive.
Michael Carter is. Well, he runs a nice ship, doesn't he? When you look from outside in, it's a really nice ship to be a part
I
of.
think it's more the mateship thing because they
Yeah.
know they've got issues outside of
Yeah.
the playing group that only the management can solve.
Yeah.
But if you can create the right, whatever the word culture means, or environment where people want to come and play
But I
at
think
that club,
but I think they created that.
that's exactly what they've
I
done
think
for 4 years.
From the
And
£1 million game
Yeah.
onwards,
Yeah.
they've really created that.
Well, Michael Carter said that.
Wonderful.
I think. Michael Carter said that.
Bruffy
in a
won't
piece.
upset that, will
He said it's in the league, especially. He knows what he's getting with Brough and the maverick what he is and
Yeah.
the personality what he is. But
He's manageable, Brough.
Oh yeah. One thing for sure with Brough, if Brough is happy,
Yeah.
then he'll be a great asset to Wakefield. There's no two ways about that. And I think they know how to manage him. Chester knows how to manage him.
Chesney spent lots of time with him at home.
Yeah.
You know, he's seen the good and the bad and the ugly. And
Yeah.
you know, listen, it's not no secret with Danny Brough. It's not
I
rocket
mean,
science.
you were saying under a salary, you weren't under a salary cap sport, but when you played, big name comes in, other players thinking probably on more money than me, knock on the chairman's door. That's not going to happen in a salary cap sport.
Well, it doesn't happen nowadays, does
It
it?
doesn't happen anymore.
Doesn't happen nowadays. Yeah.
So there's going to be no upset.
And remember in the past, when Mr. Carter has had the hard decisions to make regarding the likes of Kevin Locke and Tim Smith.
Well, I told you that Kevin Locke. When Wakefield signed Kevin Locke, and
Wakefield
I read to see what Wakefield doing there.
Yeah, Super
You
League,
stuck
yeah.
up for him, Shaw, right?
Yeah.
Mark Wilson stuck up for him. I think Mr. Kappa stuck up for him. It was an absolute disaster. Kevin Locke.
He is
Do me a
still,
favour.
I think, the #1 Kevin to play for Wakefield in the Super League era.
Henderson. Kevin Henderson was outstanding.
Kevin Henderson, Kevin Penny, and Kev King, who played about 3 games. So there's great Kevins of Wakefield of our time.